space has often been referred to as astrophobia. Astrophobia is the fear of space and the celestial bodies that inhabit it. I've covered other fears on this channel, but unlike those other videos, I can confidently say that I have astrophobia. Looking into the void of deep space, or an image of a gas giant several magnitudes larger than Earth surrounded by a pitch black void, these things are horrifying to me. And I'm clearly not alone. With videos on astrophobia getting millions of views and us knowing more and more about the cosmos every year, this fear of space is something that many people can relate to. But why? Why is space so terrifying to so many people? Well, let's start off with one of the biggest triggers for astrophobia, at least for mine: planets. The planets in our Milky Way and beyond are creepy. They have an almost unsettling tinge to them. Seeing images on the surface of Venus or Mars is oddly unsettling. It feels like the uncanny valley. Mars especially resembles Earth when seen from the ground, but you can always tell that this isn't Earth. This isn't home. But for me at least, the scariest part of these planets isn't their surfaces. What I find most uncanny about these planets is seeing them from space. I think it has something to do with the size and the planet's buildup, but what I find more scary is the darkness they exist in. This horrible darkness that makes the true size of the planet unrecognizable. But you know they're still massive. They look almost like a face peering out of a dark closet, ready to jump at you. The two planets I find the scariest are Jupiter and Saturn. The fact that these planets, despite their large size, don't even technically have surfaces is just one of the details that unsettles me about them. The fact that you could simply fall right through them, and the fact that both of these planets are made of heavy, toxic gases, is truly unsettling to me. As a kid, I used to have nightmares about falling into Jupiter or Saturn. Just knowing that I couldn't breathe in there, and even if I could, the pressure and the toxicity of the atmosphere would most definitely kill me, was something I found terrifying, and still do. Planets like Neptune and Uranus are also scary in their own right. The deep blue contrasts heavily with the blackness of space, and Neptune to me is especially scary considering it's the farthest from Earth, making it feel even more alien. You might have seen maps of the solar system in school that look like this. These maps are good at showing the sizes, but inaccurate when it comes to distance. We tend to group the gas giants together as if they were some sort of system of their own, close by to each other, similar to the distances between Earth and Mars, but that couldn't be further from the truth. This is an actual 2-scale model of the distances between planets. As you can see, Neptune is nearly double the distance that Uranus is from Saturn. Despite that, we tend to group Uranus and Neptune together as the icy, blue, cold planets. These vast distances aren't the only thing that scare me, however. Another thing that really gets me and freaks me out about these planets is their sheer size. Astromegalophobia is the fear of large objects in space. It's another thing that really freaks me out about these planets. Look at Jupiter, for example. The big red spot you can see in most photos of Jupiter is actually a storm that's been raging on for nearly 350 years, and a storm that is nearly twice the size of Earth. The sheer size of all these planets scares me. They seem almost menacing, something so inconceivably large that if I was standing in front of it, I would barely see past the base. Just knowing that these celestial bodies are out there somewhere, made up of gases that would kill me if I were ever to fall in them, makes looking at images like these, or even imagining myself standing out there in space in front of these gas giants, terrifying to think about. Looking at these images almost makes me feel like something is staring back at me. They're intimidating. But it isn't only the huge planets that scare me. In fact, I'd argue that tininess is even more scary. And that's what we are. Tiny. This is Earth as viewed from Saturn, taken by the Cassini Space Telescope. That's us. That's all of us. Every memory you've ever had, every human that has ever existed, every feud between countries, all of human history, and everyone you love or have ever heard about anywhere has all been here. It's no wonder then that people say we should send politicians to space so they can see the Earth as it is, an extraordinarily tiny ball in the middle of nowhere. Many astronauts, in fact, report their outlook on life changing after seeing Earth as such a small, fragile sphere, especially those on the Apollo missions. One of the Apollo astronauts, Edgar Mitchell, has a quote relating to this that I really like. From out there on the moon, international politics looks so petty. I will never know the feeling of looking at Earth as a tiny ball in space, but looking at these images is the second closest thing to that. It really emphasizes how tiny we are, and a result of just how small we are is also our fragility. Space is hostile. We can be hit by a gamma ray burst, or a rogue asteroid could come in our direction, and we couldn't do anything about it. I think that concept alone contributes greatly to my astrophobia. We are simply at the mercy of the cosmos. The size of the universe is vast, of course, but it isn't just the solar system and the planets in it that scare me. There are many exoplanets that we've discovered that I'd argue are even scarier. Like the exoplanet Gliese 436b. It's a planet around the size of Neptune. Its surface is covered in ice, yet it orbits only 2.5 million miles away from its host star. Now, that might sound like a lot, but for reference, the closest planet to the Sun, Mercury, is nearly 36 million miles from the Sun. Its surface temperature is 882 degrees Fahrenheit, and yet it's still made completely out of ice. It's due to this phenomenon that the ice in Gliese 436b is constantly on fire. Yes, you heard that right. Literal burning ice. The reason the ice doesn't melt is because of the immense gravitational pull from the planet's core, which prevents the water from evaporating away from the ice. And this burning ice isn't even the weirdest part of the exoplanet. Because of its high concentration of hydrogen, we would expect to see significant levels of methane in the atmosphere of Gliese 436b. But paradoxically, we see that the planet has 7,000 times less methane than it should, and has a significant amount of carbon monoxide instead. It's a planet with burning ice and poisonous air. Not scary at all.
Still stressing over expensive English tests just to study abroad? Take the Duolingo English test. It's fast, it's convenient, and yeah, it works. Take it online, from your couch, on your laptop, anytime, anywhere. It's accepted by over 5,800 schools, including top universities in the US, Canada, the UK, you name it. Plus, you get unlimited practice tests, because of course we've got your back. So what are you waiting for? Go sign up. You've so got this.
MyShrek Pakistan. Download now.
Not scary at all. Another exoplanet that triggers my astrophobia, but more specifically my astromegalophobia, is the planet J1407b. They really need to give these planets better names. Saturn is to me the scariest planet in the solar system because of its rings, but Saturn has nothing on J1407b. For reference, this is Saturn, and this is J1407b. This exoplanet is hauntingly scary for me. First of all, the planet itself is nearly 10 times the size of Jupiter, which is scary enough, but the rings are what really get me about this exoplanet. They are 150 million kilometers across one side to the other. For some reference on how gargantuan that is the distance between the Earth and the Sun. I can only imagine how terrifying floating next to the planet's rings would be. Seeing how far they go out, the fact that something like this is even allowed to exist, the fact that space can make these huge things is terrifying. But what's even more scary is the thought that this can go even further. After all, we can only see our observable universe, and even then, the farthest exoplanet we've ever observed is 27,000 light years away. The observable universe is about 94 billion light years across. And that's only the part that we can observe. There are probably billions, if not trillions, of other exoplanets that we haven't discovered yet with even more mind-bendingly scary properties. But we'll never know what those properties are. We will never research, find out, or understand trillions of exoplanets simply because of the size of the universe. Space isn't just visually scary and a source of existential fear and dread, it's also an auditory wonder as well. I bet most of you have heard the term, "in space, no one can hear you scream." This claim is telling the truth. Not only are you likely far away from civilization and people, but you quite literally cannot hear someone scream through the vacuum of space. It has no molecules for sound to travel through. Despite this, we still know what space sounds like. How? Well, space might not have any sound waves, but it does have other waves. We can then translate these other waves into sound waves and hear what different things in space sound like. And they are equally as terrifying as the visuals of space, if not more. We can hear what the planets of our solar system sound like, along with many other things, and they are chilling, to say the least. When the Cassini space probe paid a quick visit to Jupiter before it went to Saturn, it stayed just long enough to record a bit of Jupiter's sound, and it got this back from Jupiter. It bodes an uncanny resemblance to what birds sound like here on Earth, but something seems off about it, almost like Jupiter's pretending to sound like Earth, like a monster imitating the cries of a child to lure its victims. It's freaky knowing that no matter how scary the planets of our solar system look to us, they always sound just as scary. Then, there are the sounds of moons. In 2021, a space probe was doing a mission around Jupiter and made a flyby by Ganymede, a moon of Jupiter, and recorded some audio of the moon. Pitched down to a level where humans can hear it, it sounds like this. It's chilling. It sounds almost like a distorted recording, but it isn't. That's just the sound that Ganymede makes. However, the sounds of space go beyond the solar system, and even beyond solid astronomical objects. A NASA space telescope named Chandra studied the Perseus Galaxy Cluster. It detected ripples through space, not much different from ripples in water. Scientists determined that these ripples were produced by a supermassive black hole. Whenever a black hole eats something, it spits some of that thing out. The thing being spit out pushes around nearby gases. Translating these gas ripples into sounds shows us what a black hole eating something sounds like, and it sounds like this. The original frequency of this black hole audio was low, one of the most rational fears out there. From the visuals to the sounds, the questions, and the concepts of our universe, astrophobia is a representation of what we as humans fear most. The important questions and the unknown. But now more than ever, we are forging a closer relationship with space. With independent companies making spacecrafts and landing on planets and plans to colonize Mars, astrophobia will most likely persist for generations to come. We might be scared of space, but we can't let that fear define our relationship with the universe. We should instead use our fears as a catalyst for exploration.